Meeting come to order. Clerk call the roll.
Mayor Manning.
Present.
Councilman Petroselli.
Present.
Councilman McGrady.
Present.
Clerk, please read the minutes from our last meeting.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we dispense with the minutes of the previous meeting. Second. Just no.
Okay, reports of motion committees or noise.
We need to call the roll.
Minutes, I'm sorry. I got distracted by noise. Clerk call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrady.
In favor.
Mayor Manning.
In favor. In favor.
Huh?
Voting in favor of the roll call?
On the minutes. We did the roll call.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, it is my honor and privilege as the General Manager of the City of Waterville to present the proposed 2019 General Fund budget to the Mayor and City Council as well as to the public. So for tonight, tonight is the budget presentation, so I will go through a couple handfuls of slides that give some background on the budget. Tonight is simply the presentation. It is not the public hearing for it. The public hearing is in 2 weeks, so I'll be presenting it tonight. And then any comments or any questions that you have throughout, if you want to jot them down and save it for the public comment period at the end, or ask them during the public hearing in 2 weeks, I would appreciate that. So to give an idea on the budget process for those that haven't been around throughout the year, the budget process begins in April. As soon as we close out the previous year, we begin with the next year. And so the way that process begins, we start by reformatting the budget, making sure that everything is in line with how we want it. If we want to make any changes and things of that nature. So this began 7 months ago. The next step in there, the finance department does a line-by-line analysis. And tonight you'll hear me give credit to a lot of different people that work within the city because this is a full team effort to be able to put together this budget. But the finance department is the main driver behind this. And the line-by-line analysis is done by Amanda. Amanda does a fantastic job with that. And so once that line-by-line analysis is done, we do a preliminary, this year we did a preliminary budget presentation to go over what are the main items that are driving things this year. So the potential increases of health insurance, workers' comp, and our contractual obligations. From there we have departmental budget meetings. We spend a few hours each Wednesday all together where the department heads will come in and meet with myself, the Director of Finance, and the Deputy Director of Finance. Then we go through each part of that line-by-line analysis. So if there's an expense account and there's multiple vendors in there, we go through each individual vendor. We talk about how much has been spent on that vendor in recent years, how much is expected to be spent in the next year or future years. And that helps us to determine and put together for the budget workshops. This year we conducted 5 budget workshops for the 5 separate departments, as well as a water and sewer workshop. Once the workshops are done, we get feedback from the public during the workshops, from the council, and then together we are able to put together the final budget presentation in preparation for this evening. So I'm going to touch on a few different things. Hopefully some of these things will, some people want to hear, others may not. But the overall economy in the country right now, there has been a substantial amount of growth, especially in 2018. There's growth in 17, now in 18, and it's estimated by the Congressional Budget Office 3.1% growth, which is through the gross domestic product. That 3.1% was much higher in the first half of the year, closer to 4%, but it slowed in the second half of the year, which is where that 3.1% projection comes. It is estimated that the economy will continue to grow in 2019, but at a much slower rate. The forecasted growth slows to about 2.4%. This is information that was provided by the Congressional Budget Office Director, Keith Hall. So the 2019 budget, like many other budgets that we've had in the past, has major challenges, and these are the 5 biggest challenges that we face in putting together the budget. Health insurance costs, premiums continue to rise, and they're not showing any signs of slowing down. Workers' compensation premiums, quite the same. Again, they continue to rise. Federal and state mandates that are handed down to the counties and the cities that we have no control over, that we still must follow, and that have costs for us. The city of Waterville is 98% developed. So if you think about the town of Colony, where there's open land, if something is built there, that's going to raise their total assessed value or total taxable assessment. In the city of Waterville, we don't have that ability. We're basically fully developed, again, 98%, so there's no room to be able to have new development that can help with the taxable assessment. And then, of course, for over a dozen years, state aid has not increased for the city of Waterville. And I'll touch on each of these a little bit. Health insurance is definitely our major challenge now and moving forward into the future. This is just an analysis of how health insurance has increased over the last 5 years and continues to do so for the 2019 budget. A little tough with the light, but health insurance broken down by department. Public safety, as it is with the remainder of the budget, is about 76% of our health insurance costs. And I'll show you another slide in a minute that breaks that down even more. Our highway or general services department is about 7.5. 12% of our health insurance costs is admin, and this is current employees and retirees. And then our sanitation department is roughly 4% of our total health insurance budget. I think this slide really tells a bigger story as to where those numbers come from. It's broken down by department, so first you'll see fire, which is current fire employees, fire retirees, fire buyback, and then so on from there. And what you see is that some of our higher costs are for former employees, so retirees. A lot of our costs come from retirees. We have put some controls in place for the future, but again, our premiums continue to rise, and so our costs continue to rise. So controlling health insurance is one of the major goals as we move forward, and later in the presentation I'll talk about how we plan to do that. Workers' compensation, again, this is our premium costs or our budgeted costs, and as the premiums go up, that's what rises the budget. We did have a major claim in 2016, late 2016, for a chemical spill that our fire department responded to. That has caused one of the major drives here. And very soon that will come off of our experience mod, which is part of how these rates are determined. So there is some bright side into the future for workers' comp, but we continue to work on other measures as well. But again, you can see as the costs increase, the budget must increase to cover that. State aid. I have to say this is one of my favorite slides, but it's my most disappointing. These numbers here are per capita state aid that is received. So the city of Waterville receives $118.02 per resident based off of the census. That is the lowest that any city in the region receives. And if you look at some of these other ones that are here, it's well below. Almost half of most of the cities that are up there. It's less than half of Albany and less than half of Troy. And when you think about the other challenges that the city has by having federal land with the arsenal, 787 taking our waterfront, you would expect that we would receive more state aid than others, but we do not. To kind of compare this to what it means with the total number, if we were to receive the same amount of state aid that the city of Cohoes receives, we would receive $650,000 more annually for our budget. That's what our tax increase or our deficit was last year that required a tax increase. There's no signs of state aid changing. The legislature has brought it up multiple times, and there's never been any changes to state aid for municipalities. Only school districts get increases annually. So those are the major challenges that we face in putting together the budget. Some of the accomplishments this year for the 2019 budget: we were audited last year and we had an audit report. We continue to follow the state office of the state comptroller's best practices. We continue to have optimal staffing levels within the city. There are no layoffs in the city, although the budget does propose cutting one position from the budget, but is not currently filled. There's no additional positions added to the budget, and most importantly, there's no proposed reduction in services. All service will continue in force. So let's get into a little bit of the numbers here. First, the expenses, and again, I apologize with the light that you can't see the numbers that are up there, but the blue over here is police, the red is fire, and 79% of the entire general fund budget is for public safety. And that's equal to about just over $8 million of the budget. Just over $1 million, 1.3, or 11.5%, is our general services, our highway, rec, and sanitation. And this just isn't just payroll, this is other numbers in there as well, what their portion of workers' comp would be, liability insurances, health insurances, and so on. So it's not just payrolls. Administration is just roughly 10%, just under, about $1 million. Our debt and reserves at $887,000 is about 7.5%. And our centralized costs, which is our contingencies, our copy machines, our paper, IT, those types of items, those are our centralized costs, just under $300,000 or 2.5% of the total budget. The proposed revenues. As you can see, this large portion over here on the end, 44% of our revenues is from our property tax. This year's proposed property tax levy is almost $5.2 million. It's $5,196,137. What we propose to receive in sales tax, and sales tax really for 2018 has been a savior. Sales tax is much higher than expected. We're having a great year with that, and so we are able to increase our sales tax number. Now, one thing to talk about with sales tax, this $3,580,000 is slightly below what we budgeted in 2017 for sales tax. And in 2017, sales tax went down for the first time. So 2018 has been a great year, and we'll reach that number, and so we're comfortable with putting $3,580,000 for that. That adds up to about 31% of our revenues. So 75% of our revenues are between property taxes and sales taxes. Our non-property taxes, that's $520,000, or about 5%. Our state aid in total is $1.2 million. That's another 10%. Permits, fees, fines, that includes court fees, tickets, traffic tickets is in there. That's another 4%. Recoveries and grants, so what we budget to receive in grant revenue, and the fire department's ambulance recoveries from insurance. That's $475,000. Again, that's roughly 4%. And some of our miscellaneous or other small items add up to $255,000, or 2% of our revenues. So the math, what does all of this mean? So in our assessed values, there's two major categories in there. The first one is total wholly exempt assessed value for 2018. And that is the value of property that does not pay taxes. They do not pay taxes. That is $326 million. Now, full disclosure, the majority of that is the arsenal, which has no tax to the city of Waterville. It's nearly the same as our total taxable assessment for 2018, which is $380 million. That $380 million is about a $3 million increase from 2017's assessed roll, and this is what's used to determine what our levy is. Values do continue to increase in the city of Waterville. Property values are increasing, so this number will likely increase. But again, the more development or redevelopment of areas will help to increase that. The total estimate of expenditures for 2019 in the budget is $11,748,230. So the total non-property tax revenues is $6,552,093. So the difference between those, for the math, is what constitutes the total amount to be raised by taxes for 2019, or the levy which is $5,196,137. So to reach that levy, it is the amount that needs to be charged to the total taxable assessment to reach that number. And to do that means that we need to increase our property tax rate to 13.63 per $1,000. That is a tax rate increase of 5.9%. So again, in talking to the public, I always like to talk about what is the tax rate increase. The state is always asking about the levy. The tax cap is what the levy is, which is a 2%. But if we were to talk about what the levy increase is, that's a 7% increase. But this is the one that really matters to the public and to what your costs will be. So to break down what that means for everyone, based on the average value of residential property in the city of Watervliet of $125,000, the increase in the tax rate is equal to $96 per year or $8 a month. So for those of you that have an escrow, you'd be looking at an increase of $8 a month if this proposed budget is approved. So I always think that the main question that comes from the public is, what are we doing to try and stop continued increases as we move forward? Now, the first thing is to propose and put together a balanced budget, not relying on any reserves or transfers to get there. So we do continue to put money into our reserves. We have them. They're more rainy day funds for when something major happens and we have to cover for it, but we do not rely on those within the budget. We continue to add fiscal controls by putting in an encumbrance system and other things. I always like to say this. One of our biggest fiscal controls, and those that work for the city will understand this, is our purchasing clerk. If you've ever had to go up and deal with Phyllis and try and get a PO to purchase something, she really prevents that from happening. So most people don't even bother buying things because they don't want to go up and have to run through the gauntlet of Phyllis to be able to purchase something. So as much as that seems like a silly thing, it's actually a control over it because she's excellent at what she does. The County Shared Services Plan. This was introduced last year, and then it was reintroduced this year. It was previously an 8-point plan. It's now an 11-point plan. But the most important piece of that plan is putting together the Albany County Health Consortium. So I'll give a little bit of background on that. The City of Watervliet is leading the way in putting together this health consortium. We're working directly with the county and with consultants to be able to put this together. What does this really mean for us? A few years back when the Affordable Care Act took place, the City of Watervliet, and basically there's two different types of groups when it comes to insurance: large group employer and small group employer. Before the Affordable Care Act, if you had over 50 employees, you were considered a large group. And large group employers' premiums are much lower than small group. When the Affordable Care Act was put into place, that number became 100. And the City of Watervliet was then dropped into small group employer. At that time, the insurance that we had, because we were dropped into small group, increased 22%. At that time, we were able to negotiate with the unions to be able to move to a different insurance, which saved us a lot of money. But by putting together the health consortium, it's going to do two major things. One, it's going to make us a large group again, and everybody that's involved in the county is going to count towards it. So it's going to drive the premium cost down. And by once again being large group, we will no longer have the need for a broker, and there'll be some extra savings because of that as well. It could be an extremely large savings for the City of Watervliet, especially the smaller communities, so all the smaller communities that are in there. Right now there's 14 communities, including the county, within the health consortium, and as we continue to work forward, it looks as though we'll be able to begin the health consortium in January of 2020. So this may be the last year that we have the insurance on our own, and this will help. Now, that's not going to affect the employees or the retirees. They will still have the same or better insurance, but the premiums and the costs will go down when we join the health consortium. That's one of the major pieces of the County Shared Services Plan, but there's much more to it as well. They're just a little bit smaller savings. In 2019, we will have a city-owned light conversion to LED. We received a grant because of the work done by the city clerk's office and the building department to be able to receive this grant. It is a Clean Energy Communities grant, and within there, we are able to change all city-owned lights to LED. So all the lights in the buildings and all the city-owned street lights, lights in parks, lights in the bathroom down at Hudson Shores, all of those lights will be converted to LEDs, and that will provide us with a savings. We will continue to be aggressive towards grants and using capital projects to reduce future costs. And so what does that mean, using capital projects to reduce costs? Well, there's a couple of different things that we have that we've applied for grants. So, for instance, and we've talked about this many times, the separation of the combined sewers. By separating the combined sewers, that is a capital project. Of course, it's very green. No longer having sanitary sewer go into the river, no longer processing stormwater down at the county level. So by doing that, that's going to reduce our costs with the county. So a capital project with a grant that we've applied for will reduce costs in the future. So that's one example. Probably the biggest thing that's on here and the most potential is working with the New York State Fiscal Restructuring Board. The council approved an application to the Fiscal Restructuring Board. They've accepted it. We've been working with them for months now. Coming close to a conclusion, we do expect in early 2019 that we'll have a report from them. The report will provide us with basically some avenues and some advice as to what we can do to continue to reduce costs in future years. It will certainly help us for the 2020 budget, and there may be some grant awards through that as well that will help us to complete some of these tasks that they outlined there. Again, we continue to expand our facility rentals. The Dome is rented almost every night at this point and every day on the weekends. We're working towards being able to rent this as a hall and as a facility. Just need to finalize a few things there. And then, of course, we are always expanding our services with other municipalities and vice versa, the old shared services with other municipalities. One simple example of that, in years past, it cost us about $6,000 to use a vac truck from the city of Cohoes. We pay them for the use so that we can clean out our catch basins. This year, we reached out to Albany County, to the sewer district, and the sewer district has allowed us to use theirs at no cost. So when we continue to work with these shared services, they can reduce costs as well. So what are the next steps with the budget? My predecessor always said this, and it is very true. The budget is a living, breathing document. It can change daily. For instance, today we were on the phone with our workers' comp insurance, again, trying to get our rates down and to see if there's further reductions that we can get in the budget. We're confident that there is some movement there. How much remains to be seen, but by the time we meet again on November 29th for the public hearing, hopefully we have a lower number in there so that we can see that rate increase go down even more. So again, November 29th, 2 weeks from today, is the public hearing here. Again, as long as that is passed by the council tonight. And then on December 13th, which is 2 weeks after that, will be the budget vote. Finally, I did say that I was going to thank a lot of people tonight, and I am. The finance department arguably is the best municipal finance department in the area. The amount of work that they put in and what they do, you drive by on the weekends, you drive by late at night, those lights are on and there's somebody in there. Mike is in there, Amanda's in there. I'd love to say that they're in there bright and early in the morning too, ahead of time, but they'll both tell you that they're not morning people. So, but they are there and working tirelessly to continue to put controls in and to work on our finances to keep taxes down. Scott, city clerk, working in the clerk's office. There's a lot of HR work that's in there, but he's the benefits administrator. He handles all of our benefits and he puts together the budget for our health insurance. I've already talked about Phyllis Carroll. She's irreplaceable. She's an unbelievable employee. I want to take a couple seconds to talk about Janice Meyer. I know she's not here, but Janice Meyer has several hats that she wears. She's the clerk in the building department and code enforcement. She's the registrar of vital statistics, and she's also the clerk to the assessor. So there was a time through 2018 where we did not have an assessor. Our assessor resigned, and we recently hired Tina Dimitriadis, who has a significant amount of experience. But in that time, there's still certain things that go on with assessment. Janice helped to make sure that we were able to complete our role, but for 4 months, she basically handled all the ins and outs, taking in all the information, distributing the information that has to do with the assessor's job. So as it happens in City Hall, when something happens, if we lose an employee or somebody's out, somebody steps up, and Janice Meyer really did. She saved the city a lot of money this year by handling those things, and she deserves a lot of credit for that. The Mayor's Secretary, Chris Jartrand, again, helps with everything with the numbers. She's the one that reaches out, is working with the county to help with our shared services plan, and continues to do very important work. The department heads have spent countless hours in helping to put together the budget. They did a great job of keeping costs low this year and putting together and really putting up with the number crunching that's done by the finance department, sitting there and going through it. They deserve a lot of credit. Mayor and City Council for coming early to the meeting so that we can have the workshops and providing the feedback that helps to put this together. And of course the public. Those of you that have been here, that have emailed, that have called. Sometimes I get a call and people say, I hate to bother you. It's never a bother, it's important. That's why we're here, that's what we do. And your feedback, although you may think that it's not listened to or it's not followed through with, it sticks. Everything that you say sticks, and we use that, and we talk about it all the time to be able to use those things that you mentioned to be able to put into the budget. So I want to make sure that everybody receives the credit that they deserve. But once again, most importantly, this is the 2019 proposed budget. As a general manager, as a lifelong Waterville resident, as a guy that stands up here and probably looks foolish in a garnet and gray suit because I have so much pride in the city of Waterville, it's my honor and privilege to present the 2019 proposed budget to the mayor and the council for your approval. Thank you.
So as Jeremy said in his intro, public hearing in 2 weeks. The information will be available tomorrow on the website.
Yes, it'll be on the website, and if you would like a hard copy of it, you can get that either from the city clerk's office, or if you'd like it emailed, or whatever medium you'd like it in. Just contact the city clerk's office or the general manager's office, and we can get that to you.
Okay? Good old business?
We have nothing in old business.
What is new business?
In new business, we have ordinance number 1990, an ordinance of the City of Waterville providing that the code of the City of Waterville be amended by revising section 260-56, time limit parking or standing.
I'd like to make a motion to accept ordinance number 1990 as written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so this is a business that's operating at 428 Fifth Ave. It's a daycare center. The owner had contacted my office in regards to residents that were parking in the area that she uses for drop-off and pickup. That included infant children, and she voiced a concern that there wasn't enough reserve spot in front of that business in order to accommodate those people bringing their kids back and forth. So I would propose to the council that we make it a 15-minute limit parking from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., which are the hours of operation of the business.
Any questions or comments on that?
Any other daycares that might have the same situations or questions?
None that have voiced it to me.
Okay, call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrowdy.
In favor.
Mayor Mann.
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9546. Council of the City of Waterville hereby authorizes and directs Scott O'Reilly, City Clerk and Clerk to the Council, to advertise in the official newspaper of the city that a public hearing will be held in the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Citizen Center, Waterville, New York, on Thursday, November 29, 2018, at 7 p.m. for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding proposed local law number 6 for the year 2018, a local law to amend Chapter 230, Sewers of the Code of the City of Waterville, regarding establishing and imposing sewer rents for the period of November 1st, 2018 to October 31st, 2019.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I second that.
Discussion?
So previously, this local law was presented to the council. It was recommended to make changes to that. Changes have been made. In this particular local law, all properties are charged the same amount, $91.43 per billing period, same through the metered accounts as well. In accepting this, what this does for the budget, for the rate, in doing it this way, there would be no rate increase. So those that are paying right now would not see any increase in their sewer rate. So it keeps the rate flat. This has been distributed to the council as of today for consideration.
This is just to have the public hearing at the next meeting.
Correct.
Call the roll.
Councilor Patricelli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrattan.
In favor.
Mayor Manning.
In favor.
Up next, we have resolution number 9547. The council of the city of Waterville hereby authorizes and directs Scott O'Reilly, city clerk, and clerk to the council, to advertise in the official newspaper of the city that a public hearing will be held in the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Citizen Center on Thursday, November 29, 2018 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding proposed ordinance number 1991, an ordinance of the city of Waterville amending chapter 266, water of the code of the city of Waterville regarding establishing and imposing water rates for the period of November 1st, 2018 to October 31st, 2019.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 9547 as written.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
So once again, a ordinance was proposed to the council. We were asked to make some changes to it. Originally, this was proposed the same way as the sewer, but the change in this is to charge vacant buildings and units the half of the fee that is charged to residential units that are filled. The metered rate stays the same, but the out-of-town metered rate was increased to be higher than the in-town metered rate. This, again, also keeps the rate flat, so the rate will not increase for any residences or any commercial properties with meter other than those outside of the city limits.
And what's that rate?
The rate is, the flat rate is $358 for the year, and the metered rate is $3.95 per 1,000 gallons, or $395 minimum for the year, which is $4 per 1,000 gallons for those that are out of town, or the minimum there.
I know we talked about the half rate for the water, and the justification was the infrastructure and that type of thing, to keep something in there, in place for the potential use or the right to be able to use it.
Correct.
The concern I had was over the sewer rate. The full amount for the sewer rate just doesn't seem to follow the same logic that we're talking about with the water rates. And if I'm correcting, I know there is infrastructure, of course, I get that, but most of the sewer charges that we are basically paid to Albany County for the processing. So if there's nothing going out, I'm just trying to justify when I talk to somebody and they're trying to explain this, it's hard for me to be able to do it unless I believe it myself, and be able to say, if the sewer rate is full and they're not even using it, and it's being charged a rate by the county for use, why wouldn't the sewer rate be as half as well as the water?
So the difference between the water and the sewer, again, water rate is directly tied to the usage of water and the infrastructure for the water. The sewer rate is not tied to usage. So a majority of the cost in the sewer fund, yes, is for what goes down to the county. But that's not just sanitary sewer, that's our combined sewers as well. So if you have gutters on your house, that's stormwater that's going in. That still goes into the same system that goes down to the county in many cases. If you have Philadelphia gutters in your building, they go directly into the sanitary sewer and they go down as well. So a vacant building is still going to be sending water or whatever it is down to the county. So there's still going to be use. It's just
Only
not
if they
going-
have that type of system, that drainage system, and
Either
It's not-
type of system will put it into the city sewer system. Stormwater will still go into the system, whether it goes into the storm system, sanitary, or the CSO system.
but not many have Philadelphia gutters anymore.
No, but the
We do have
majority
some
of the city
pumps.
is on the,
We
is
do
on the
have some
combined.
pumps in our facilities.
Yep, and cell pumps is another small example of that as well.
Yeah, if you recall from last meeting, we just picked a place to start
Right.
before the public hearing.
Right, okay, I just wanted to just make sure we were picking a place in the discussion.
It's a baseline to start
Okay,
and get comment from the public.
okay, all right, I'm okay with that. That's-
It's not true that, excuse me, I just said it's a baseline for the next discussion. I didn't say anything in this discussion. Call the roll, okay? This is just for the public hearing. You can all comment on it at the next meeting. All right?
Councilman Patricelli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrath.
In favor.
Mayor Mann.
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9548. Council of the City of Waterville hereby authorizes and directs Scott O'Reilly, City Clerk and Clerk to the Council, to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that a public hearing will be held on Thursday, November 29th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Citizen Center for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding the estimate of revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year 2019.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I second that.
Any discussion?
So this is to set the public hearing 2 weeks from now, November 29th, for what I just presented and what will be available online tomorrow. What the council will be looking to approve is the tax levy and the tax rate per thousand. So the $5,196,137 as the levy, and then $13.63 per thousand as the rate. So that's what the public hearing is on, and that's what the council will be looking to approve on December 13th. To add to that, if there's any reduction in either of those, we do not need a further public hearing, but if there's any increase for any reason in either of those, we would have to start the process over with another public hearing. But there's no expectation that would happen.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Patricelli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrady.
In favor.
Mayor Mann.
In favor.
Mr. Mayor, to the best of my knowledge, that's all we have in new business tonight.
Appropriation to the county.
No.
Okay. I guess in order to keep it moving and get right back with the storm, we'll go to public comment period.
I just have a couple.
Sure, go ahead.
Just a couple of things I just wanted to mention. First, I want to welcome Anthony Kirkcaldy here. Anthony is upcoming Eagle Scout. He's here for observation as far as one of his requirements, and he's in our troop. So, welcome, Anthony. I did tell him that there was a 15-minute speaking that he would have to do, but I'm only kidding, Anthony. I know you were probably worried about it. The couple other things I wanted to ask about. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for the general public. I was just re-elected as a council. I know that's a great honor to me. I was hoping for a 4-year term at the beginning, but now it turned out that this is the re-election and it was for a 3-year term. So I do appreciate the public's support and confidence in me in this re-election, and I thank them. I know we have a couple of things I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to make it. Can we bring up the roads now on 6th Avenue? I know it's probably going to be a comment here, but I'd like to bring that up and discuss it on what we're going to do.
Sure.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, I stated that the paving subcontractor was going to be out and paving the streets on 6th and 8th Avenue. I was provided with bad information, and that did not happen. They were delayed another week, and they came out basically to do the cleanup work. When they came out to do the cleanup work, they had a few items that they had suggested were going to slow them down from being able to pave properly. Our consulting engineer, who is actually here tonight from Western Wisconsin, Dave Boyer, was out in the field and did an inspection of all these roads. And again, it was more so in the trenching areas that National Grid had done. Their concrete levels were a bit high, and so some of that needs to be toned down to be able to put the right amount of blacktop on those roads, as well as some curbing issues where curbs were removed and they were not replaced. We certainly don't want to pave a road without the curb being in place. With that said, National Grid was out today replacing sidewalks and those curbs, and next week they will be out milling the surfaces to get that concrete down, as well as the paving subcontractor being out there. I could go on with the excuses that were given to me by the subcontractor and the contractor on this, but I'm sure that you'll have the same feelings towards those excuses as I had. So I won't go into that. With that said, we received a schedule today from the paving contractor, similar to receiving a schedule before, so I'm reluctant to give dates for this. But because the plants are closed on Thursday and Friday of next week because of the holiday, they stated that they'll begin the blacktopping on the streets on the 26th, and we'll have it completed by the 28th of November. Also looking at those dates, they believe that the projected forecast for them is a bit warmer, so it makes it much more advantageous to do the paving then. But, as I've said throughout this, the patience that people have shown in those areas is greatly appreciated. Obviously, when putting this project together and planning it, we did not plan for it to go this long. We were delayed nearly 2 months because of National Grid's work, and that's put us in the predicament that we're in today. So if there's any other questions that you have, like I said, our consulting engineer, Weston and Sampson, Dave Boyer is here and could probably help to answer any other questions that you might have.
The big concern is, is the weather.
Sure.
We have no idea what the 26th is going to bring us. What are we going to do if, it all said and done, if 26 was, we're in Florida and the 26 was coming up, we wouldn't care, but we're not. So what's our backup plan? What are we going to do? And who's going to be responsible for anything that we're doing?
Yeah, so all of the issues have been expressed to both the contractor and to National Grid so that they can be held accountable for not providing the services that they were contracted to do. That's our contractor, and National Grid not following along with what they've had. I've met with National Grid, spoke to them about how much they delayed us, what that has costed us, and began to talk about that, again, for accountability for those that are out there and doing it. There's obviously no city employees, our DPW, things like that. They don't have anything to do with the project. This is on contractors and National Grid, and of course myself overseeing the project by not getting it to be completed in time for the snow that's coming. So what we're doing as we move forward, obviously we have a snowstorm that's coming in tonight. So what we've done is we've put precautionary measures out on those roads to let people know where those manholes are that are high, where the catch basins are that are high, so that they can be seen and avoided. But since we cannot specifically plow those streets for that reason, we are continuing to salt them. We also have a broom sweeper that is out. Broom sweepers have been used before to take snow off of roads and sidewalks, so that's also available to us to continue to take the snow off of those streets. So obviously if we receive a significant amount of snow on those streets, we can keep the plows at a higher level and push the snow, but that's not what we plan to do for this particular project.
Is this the time to ask an engineer some questions?
He's here.
You want to answer questions?
Sure. You want me to stand up?
Yeah.
In regard to catch basins, is all the building done?
They have to finish doing the prep work. They had finished a section of 6th Avenue, but they have to come back, finish them in 8th.
Well, next question would be, how much blacktop is being put down?
We are intending to put 1.5 inches of overlay down. There will be some other true and leveling asphalt below that, but it's effectively 1.5 inches.
Well, some of the manholes are only 1 inch in depth from the top to the concrete.
Yeah.
That's
We
why I
make
asked.
it an issue to make sure that plows don't hit it. We purposely leave them level or a little below level.
So there are going to be mills.
Yeah, there are areas where they take a large miller, 7-foot or 8-foot wide, and do the main section of the street, but they have to raise and go over manholes and such. So then they came back with a smaller miller on the front of a skid steer, get around it, they use a pick, they jack, whatever they gotta do to clean it up, you're aware of that.
But it hasn't been done yet.
Not all of it, no,
Not
correct.
all
They're
of it.
gonna come back and tomorrow be doing some of it,
Under the
Okay.
snow.
and then they'll be back, when they pave the one street, they'll be doing the prep work on the other streets.
Okay, you have one catch basin in particular. The concrete is even with the basin.
That has to take care.
That has to be milled?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see,
Okay.
we'll see. What about temperature?
Well, that gets to be a problem this time of year. We're obviously experiencing colder temperatures than we anticipated, and it's later in the season than we had hoped it would be. We're gonna have to just do the best we can with what we have. We have to get it paid.
Regardless what the temperature is.
Well, we're not gonna shoot for the coldest day, but we're gonna hope for the best. It's not ideal conditions. I think we're gonna have to accept that. But,
Okay, when's the plants usually close?
hard to say, but, you know, by the middle of December, there's normally one they'll leave open just for if there's a larger project out there, but not too long from now.
We were told yesterday that December 21st is when the plant plans to
I mean, unless there's huge snowstorms and they just say, that's it, done.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it
Because
takes,
it's really up to them.
it's a lot of energy to keep asphalt hot. So,
Right.
you know, if it gets extremely cold and there's no demand for it, they'll shut it down. If there's a big project, then they'll keep them open longer.
Is it the air temperature or is it the surface temperature? Like
It's ground temperature.
ground
that's
temperature?
concerned.
How do you measure ground temperature?
I have the gauge right here now, yeah?
See, I knew you had it, so I wanted to make sure you showed it.
There you go.
Okay.
And it just shoots a little dot, and it's 78 degrees up there. So where this lands, it tells you temperature. So that's
We're gonna
usually,
keep down, save some money.
pardon?
close. Clem Sweat?
Yes, okay. Yeah, so that's used to tell the surface temperature, which is typically warmer than the ambient temperature, than air temperature. I realize it's now cold, but normally the ground is warmer until it gets, you know, frozen and the frost goes down, and we don't have that.
Is the road going to be tack coated?
Yes, it will.
Go ahead, Kate.
Okay, but they're gonna get this paid no matter what, as you said. We're gonna end up with a quality job, and there's problems with this in the spring. Who's gonna be held
The work is
responsible?
warranted for 1 year.
For 1 year.
For 1 year, correct.
So we should be able to tell at the end of this winter whether this paid job that they did is gonna hold up or not.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna tell for a year. I mean, yes, it would seemingly be if you have too cold of an asphalt, then it doesn't adhere, there's some problem with it, you're gonna see it sooner, but.
Make sure the taxpayers are not on the whole first.
Correct.
So Dave, would there be, I think that I read that about 46 degrees is anything below 46 degrees and the surface temperature is not optimal to start running on top
That's
of it.
correct. Normally,
So is there any way to be able to, let's say they're able to do this next week, is there a way to keep a record of what, on the city's end, to keep a record of what the ground temperature was when it was laid, or we can do, so that, you know, a year from now, 9, 10 months from now, it starts to go, the contractor doesn't turn around and say, oh, we were good, but is there a reference for us to turn back and say, yeah, but the ground temperature was 39 degrees?
Yeah, but there will be an on-site inspector, and he has one just like this, and he will be monitoring it.
Okay.
So, I live on 7th between 14th and 5th. National Grid came in, dug about 12 inches out from the curb, and they poured blacktop in their hole.
Concrete.
Right. Well, it's not concrete, it's now sinking because of all the rain. So there's like giant gaps, so you can't park against the curb, your car's gonna fall sideways. So how is that gonna be rectified? Because at this point, the street's been dug up for over 6 months, and 14th and 7th is awful.
I guess I'm happy to come look at that in particular, but you know, we, as the engineering for the water project, weren't responsible for National Grid.
Right.
It wasn't until we get ready to pave, went out and looked at it, and recognized that they had put in their asphalt higher than it should have been, and then we've gone through steps with them.
Lower.
Well-
Like the streets here, the asphalt's down here, like there's a huge gap. I can't.
It actually
park.
sunk.
Yeah,
It-
from all the rain.
It just, it wasn't camped, it wasn't, you know, they just threw the blacktop
Yeah,
on it.
it's bad.
Now, there should be a concrete sub-base that they should have put down.
I don't know, they had their trucks parked directly in front of my house for 3 weeks. So, I don't really know.
All right, well, if I get your address, I'll just have to
Yeah.
check on that. And we have an inspector full-time, not tomorrow, though, not gonna be on that, but, with the school.
1411 stuff.
7.
The other concern I have is about claims. About a month ago, a lady came in, had submitted a claim, and you said you'd submit it to the insurance company. Are these claims being handled, and are they, because I mean, I'm not looking for, a floodgate of claims and all like that, but if there are legitimate claims or something like this, they should be taken care of.
So it's been turned over to our insurance company to review, but it's very difficult when there's nothing that comes with the claim. If there was no report of when it happened or how it happened or where it happened, it becomes very difficult. So if you have something that damages your vehicle, we ask that you contact the police department so we can have on file that that's how it happened. And when turning it into an insurance company and saying that, 4 tires were popped in one drive down the street, the insurance company is going to wonder how that was possible, and with nothing to back it up, it makes it very difficult. We don't have influence over how our insurance company makes it.
No, but I think we have a responsibility too. I mean, I just know that there are. I'm not saying everybody's legit and coming in and being forthright and upcoming with a claim. I know that. I'm not that naive, but I do know that there are certain people who probably did have some damage done, and I know our own vehicles going over those probably are just as bad. I know I don't want to go over them, but so I mean I think we should take a little bit more TLC and looking at them and seeing how we can help them in any way. I mean, we were supposed to have this done in September, and it's November.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going into December. I mean, again, I think we should use a little bit of discretion, insurance company or not. You agree? Everybody agree?
I agree with
It depends on how they submit the information. I mean,
Yeah, but
just as easily could have happened somewhere else.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
So it's hard for anyone, insurance company or us, to
Right.
see what happened.
But I think the other problem is too, is that they're not used to, residents are normally not used to knowing what they have to do or what they should have done, and when they do it, they find out they're not going to call the police, they're not going to do this, unless we say to them out in front, hey, here's the steps you do if you get in trouble. That should have been done maybe months ago, but at this point, I don't want to say, yep, we got you. I mean, I just think we should be fair. That's all. We try to be
Not what
fair.
we're looking to do.
Well, have we paid any?
We've only received one, so
We have not received any claims except for one.
received one.
Okay, good.
Okay, so if you have questions, get a hold of Jeremy during the day. He can pull in Dave, he can pull in whatever you need. If you see something, point it out. Don't wait till the next council meeting and say, hey, 2 weeks ago I saw something. If you get damage to your car, call the police just like you would have if someone hit your car. Get someone else to document, a third party. It'll go a lot smoother.
Thanks, Dave, for being available tonight to be able to
And thanks
answer
for coming,
questions.
Dave. Appreciate it. One final question I had was regarding, a question I had regarding, and I'm not sure if this is open discussion or whatever, but Jordan, you might be able to help us with this, or help me with this, is the police buyout. I had a call about buyouts for health insurance. Is that an issue that we could discuss or put off, or like to have a couple of answers or something?
Why don't you talk to Jeremy and Jordan offline, and if it can be discussed, we'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
Before you get
That's
the ball
fine.
rolling and find out.
Do it right after the meeting here.
Okay? I'm going to open the public comment period so we can talk about other issues.
At this time, the council is authorized the public comment period. If you wish to address the council, you must step forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will have 2 minutes to address the council on any matters you wish. At the end of your comment, the council may reply or choose to reply at a later date, if they so choose.
Rebecca Williams, 1525 Fifth Avenue. Just wanted to find out if there was any further information on converting a 2-family to a 1-family to alleviate the sewer and water issue that's going on. if the unit is completely vacant and has been vacant for years.
So as we had discussed before, there's certain criteria that has to be met to make it so that it's
That's
no
what I
longer
want
considered a
under.
livable unit. One of the main things that's in there is the removal of the kitchen from up there, but there's a section in the code that does that, and so if you'd like, I can either email you that section of the code or have Paul Lavoisier in the building department get you that section of code, so after the meeting, if you want to give me your email, I can get that information over to you.
Okay, does the removal of the kitchen just mean take the sink out? Because
It's actually not the sink.
there's no stove, there's no refrigerator, there's none of that up there.
It's possible that you might be eligible already.
Okay.
So, but I'll get you that information so you're sure. I don't know it exact from how it's stated in the code. I can get you that.
All right, thank you.
Paul Eubank, 1500 12th Avenue, Waterloo. I'd like to address my comments to the general manager. In regard to the streetlights on 19th Street, it was stated at the last meeting it would be cheaper to let the lights burn than repair them. As general manager and as a prudent person looking out for the interest of the taxpayers, wouldn't it be wise to contact National Grid and see what the cost would be if they would agree to take over the streetlights and maintain them rather than proceed as we are? First question. Second question, in regard to paving blacktop over blacktop on a sidewalk, you were going to find out and get back to me on that? Yes,
Was that it, or?
that's it.
Okay. So it's kind of, your first comment is kind of the opposite. Right now, there's a movement within all cities to take over the ownership of lights from National Grid because the cost is so high to have National Grid own and maintain them. So it's actually cheaper to own the lights and provide your own maintenance to them than it is to have National Grid. So
Not doing a very good job with it. Lights are on,
I'm
lights
sorry,
are
you
off.
said that you were done
etc.
on that.
You said you're
Can you
gonna
let
look
him-
at
can you let him
LEDs.
answer?
What's that gonna prove?
LEDs cost half as much as the regular lights that are in there now.
Yeah, but that's not gonna remedy the lights going on and off, on during the day and et cetera.
No, but it costs half as much, so your question was about cost.
I-
Paving blacktop on top of blacktop on sidewalks, you can't use blacktop on sidewalks, so
Why was it done?
I don't know where it was done or why it was done. So that's why when I looked into it, I didn't know where it was referenced for, so
You don't know.
I don't know where the blacktop was paved over blacktop.
So would you wanna know where it was done?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
But what about the streetlights? You blew me off on that. So what we're gonna do is let the streetlights
No, no.
burn 24/7. Is that the idea?
As I said last time, the cost to repair the streetlights is more than letting the streetlights run, but that doesn't mean that we're going to let the streetlights run. So we've contacted the electrician, and again, it's the sensors on the top that are having the problem, and so those sensors need to be replaced, and that's what we do each time when we go out. We replace those sensors. So that's
Okay.
what's being done.
We'll see what happens. Thank you.
Is that an ongoing issue with the same poles with the same sensors? I mean, I know the photo cells are, you know, erratic at times and stuff like that, but are we having issues with the type of sensors, or
No, I mean, again.
are these all different poles?
It's different poles, some of them, you know, we've had the same one more than once in some occasions, but mostly it's different ones. But again, it really depends on what it's like outside. On a bright sunny day, they're all off, so the photo
That's not
cells are
true.
working then.
That's not true.
But at other times, you know, they're not, so. They've been there for now 10 to 12 years, so many of them need to be replaced. So as we do the LED lights, we can also have those photo cells replaced on them at the same time, so. We'll keep fixing them as they come up, but when we do the LED light replacement, we'll replace the photo cells on the top as well.
What you just stated is not true. They're on during the day, when the sun is out. Some, not all, some.
Jeremy, on this grant with the LED lighting, is there maintenance or just light bulbs to these grants? Maintenance of the lights or replacing new lights, photo cells, is that
The
part
grant
of
is
the
for
grant?
the grant is for the conversion, so, putting in the right equipment and the right lighting, replacing those
So
photos.
most of them will be fixed?
Not for continued maintenance, but the maintenance of an LED light is much less than the maintenance of the current lights.
Is it a grant or a loan?
Grant.
It's a grant, so there's no payback at all to National Grid or to anybody else?
This doesn't have anything to do with National Grid. This is just city-owned lights. This is not the
Right.
National Grid streetlights.
Okay.
So the only street
No,
lights
I
that
know-
really
I know that.
is 19th
19th
Street.
Street,
Yeah,
right.
and then some in parks and stuff.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
other than that, it's mostly the building, so these lights would be LEDs.
But it's a full grant.
Well, we have grants, and then we put in the project for how much it is. So we have an $80,000 grant, and to do our conversion, it's roughly 80,000, just under, about 78,000.
Yeah, my name's John McAvoy. I live at 1246th Avenue, Waterloo here, and I would like to get some clarification on having a trailer connected to my truck. I have a work trailer that I carry all my tools in that's connected to my truck, and someone told me that it's going to be illegal to park them on the streets after 6 p.m. I'd like to get some clarification on that, and I get that maybe we could have got our roads paved sooner if we contacted one of these paving companies, because we used to be in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most bars, but now we could be in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most paving companies in this town. It's ridiculous, and now I have to suffer for that. So you tell me, what do? I have to park my truck at Price Chopper? I mean, what do? I can't park out in front of my house after 6 o'clock, and so what if I'm doing a job in Waterloo until 8 o'clock at night? I'm going to get a ticket?
Yeah, so I'll answer that, John. The issue is we are the most densely populated municipality in New York State outside of New York City. We are running out of real estate. We have 3,639 residential units in this city, and there's about 2.4 cars per residential unit. We just don't have the room to accommodate trailers and vehicles attached on the city streets anymore. We have a number that are left there. We have a home occupancy rule that, I guess I'll have to go
I
out
would
on a
say if
limb
they're
here
left
and
there, they
say,
should automatically get a ticket, because I left mine unattached, and you personally called me and told me never to do it again, and I didn't, and it hasn't been. Now, these other people leave their boats in the street, everything. I have not called you once and complained about it. I
so
haven't.
it's attached and unattached.
Mine's not, mine's attached. It's not,
Okay.
it won't be unattached.
So what I'm saying is, right now, the code says attached and unattached trailers.
Exactly.
Cannot have either in the city of Waterloo for the hours of 6 p.m. to 7 a.m.
That doesn't even make any sense.
I just
Does it?
explained
It's
to
not
you
even
why-
fair. I mean, I can see if I had a commercial vehicle and a commercial trailer.
The problem is, John, is that I don't think what you realize, and my argument here, and it's been from the beginning, is that we have a home occupation law in the city of Waterloo. So if you're conducting that business out of that house, that residential unit, you're not supposed to have that truck there in the first place.
I'm not conducting no business out of the house. It's where I live.
You just told me that you take that
Where I
truck
could,
from
yeah,
next to
that's
your
what,
job.
yeah. When I
That's
wake
what
up in the
you're
morning,
doing.
I take my truck to work, just like you get in your police car. It's the same thing.
But
You take your
work-
police car home every night.
That's right. And
Okay,
goes to
so
the
I
police
take my
station.
vehicle home every night.
Yeah, I don't drive a trailer and a truck. I
If you
drive a
had to,
single-
you would, right?
No, I wouldn't. I'm a police officer. I wouldn't need a trailer.
I said if you had to.
No, if there's a rule that says I can't, no, I can't.
Mark, listen, at the end of the day, I mean, first off, for someone to told that, they would literally have to cut the lock and then detach it from my truck and get 2 different pieces of equipment to tow it.
Okay?
Is that what you're telling me? You're gonna go through all that process?
No.
Gonna have somebody towed for that?
The plan right now
Because I'm in here sleeping after I worked hard? Listen, you're making it harder and harder.
I'll
to
let
live
you
in-
finish, and then I'll answer your question.
Can these vehicles be parked in a driveway if you own a driveway?
What's gonna happen is people are gonna start taking their fences down and pulling their vehicles inside of their yards and putting their fences back up.
Which is against code.
Right, well, yeah.
If you want to drill down, John, right, stay after and talk to the chief, or us. But we have a time limit.
Yeah, I got it. I just don't think it's fair, that's all.
You want your notes back? Don Whitehead, 1921 8th Avenue, Waterville, New York. On September 19th, 2013, the City Council unanimously voted in favor of Ordinance 1909 to amend Chapter 272 of the City Code. The amended chapter was a complete revision of the zoning ordinance for the City of Waterville. This chapter is used by the Building Code, the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, as they consider the land use policies, principles, and guidance to protect and promote the health, safety, character, morale, comfort, convenience, economy, aesthetics, general welfare, natural and cultural resources of the city. It is the responsibility of the building department, code enforcement, to oversee the day-to-day enforcement of several sections of this chapter. What follows are examples of subsections of this chapter that are not being enforced. Subsection 272-61, sign regulation. Paragraph E, prohibited signs. The following signs are prohibited in the City of Waterville. Off-premise signs, billboards. On the corner of 19th Street and 12th Avenue, a sign approximately 5 by 4 feet is advertising "We Buy Houses," which is an off-premise sign. Paragraph F, general provision, illumination of signs. No sign shall flash or blink. Within the city, there are at least 10 blinking signs. Paragraph I, non-conforming signs. The following non-conforming signs shall be required to be removed within 5 years or 6 months from the effective date of this chapter. Non-conforming sign, billboards. Currently, there, excuse me?
You want to see the whole thing?
That's just
Yep. One more page.
Oh, go ahead.
Currently, there are 5 billboards in the city, all located on 19th Street. Signs not in use abandoned. Any sign which is located on property which becomes vacant or unoccupied for a period of 90 days or more, or any sign which pertains to a time, event, or purpose which no longer applies shall be deemed to have been abandoned. The sign shall be removed after written notice by the zoning enforcement officer to the owner of the property of which sign is affixed. In the event such sign is not voluntarily removed, subsequent cost of removal by the city will be assessed against the property owner's tax bill. Papa's Corner Restaurant has been closed 3 years. Admiral Cleaners has been closed 1. Both establishments still have signs up. And one other item, New York State law prohibits self-service gas pumps from having hold-down clips. Gas station on 19th Street has hold-down clips on all their pumps. Thank you. You want this?
Thank you, Mr. White.
Anyone else?
Kathy Crudo, 1863 9th Ave. I just have a question. With the storms coming in tomorrow, let's face it, we've got a whole winter ahead of us. Is there anything that can be done, like say, on our street, we have a truck parked there, flat tire, leaking oil, every time it rains, you see the oil coming down the street and everything. So tomorrow, a plow's gonna come around, it's gonna go around that truck, so now I'm not gonna get a parking place plowed out of there. Can anything be done about that?
Yeah, usually the day before, the midnight before the storm, we go around and we try to check for any vehicles that are in that kind of condition that look like they haven't been moved in quite some time.
Yeah, this
We
one's
try to
just-
red tag it, especially before we get to a snow emergency. We try
That's,
to red tag
that's
it.
what I'm thinking, because the plow's gonna swing around that, and we're gonna lose like 3 or 4 spots on the street because of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to give them 24 hours notice, but we'll grab it we'll tag it at midnight tonight and give the owner the 24 hours.
All right, thank you.
Sure. No, it's got to be moved to the following operating, the following year, because that's one of the checkbox interference.
Okay. Anyone else? Close the public comment period. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I second that.
Clerk call the roll.
Mayor Manning.
In favor?
Councilman Petroselli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrattan.
In favor.
Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you the week after.